Hi, I'm Baylor Adcock, and I went to a city council meeting. The address was 200 Texas Street. It was held on November 13th at 7 p.m. at City Hall in Fort Worth. I left around 9 o'clock, however, the meeting was not adjourned at the time. First, I'd like to talk about what I expected going to my first city council meeting. Really, the only vision I had is what TV shows and movies have portrayed of city council meetings, which would be like a classroom type setting with the members of each district and from that council, and like a microphone and people like lined up, talk ready to talk, and they talk about the issue, and then it's possibly voted on or just talked about, and then that's it. I was unsure if somebody was going to like take control of the whole thing or if it was going to be like whenever an issue came up in your district, you kind of took charge for that moment in time and talked about it, and then that's just how it would go. If it was your district, you would talk about it. I did not think very many people would be there. I thought it would be, people that just really, if there was an issue that really affected them, then they would be there, but otherwise, they didn't really care. Okay, so once I got there, the first thing that surprised me and I wasn't expecting was that I went through security. I had gone through to government buildings before and I've gone through security. However, this just surprised me. It's after hours to city council meeting. Um, so you go in and I actually talked to some people, and I'll get to that later. But I went to go take my seat, and the actual room where the council was present was 100% full. So I was actually put into a side media room, which they broadcasted it on like 7 different televisions. It was very easily seen and heard. They actually had a little thing in the corner that like somebody was typing all the words, so you could just read if you wanted to. Okay, so there was a lot of people there, and a lot of that I think has to do with there was 2 major issues that were being talked about that night, and so a lot of people were there to support or non-support and give their opinion on the issue. So I was surprised with how many people were involved in being active in our political community. And um, so there was like 2 major events that really went on, and I'm going to talk about that whenever I talk about what was approved and not approved. But I also wanted to touch base on what how it ended up being led. So it turns out that whenever you go, there's like a person who's kind of like a moderator, uh, and they lead the main part of it. So their job is to like make sure that if somebody comes up to talk, you only get 3 minutes to like talk about an issue. So they like time it, and they like do a little bell at like when you have 30 seconds left, and then another bell when you're done. And so they do, however, kind of give a little bit more leniency. So if it's in your district, there's an issue in your district, then you like call the vote and you talk about it, and then you call the vote. Like you open it and you close it, and then they just are kind of there to make sure everything goes correctly. And then yeah, that's just so there is somebody there, but then they also work with the council members to talk. So now we're going to talk about like what was approved, what was disapproved, what was just talked about. So I'm going to show you my packet that I received. So when you walk in, you get this packet, and it's big. So I mean, it's hard, but like it is just, I mean, it is filled. Ah, it's filled. Um, so all of these have a different like code is what I'm going to use as my word, and that's what you're voting on. So some things are grouped together, like some of the zoning things, they would just group, and it's like, hey, here are these 9 things. We're going to vote on them all at once. And oh, the way the voting works is electronic voting. So everybody has like a button or something like that. However, I was not in the room, so I really couldn't see what they were pressing. But on the screen, it comes up and it says like, not yet voted, yes, no. And so they just hit it, and it just tallies it up really quick, and you're able to see what what council member voted for what, and everything like that. I did notice, however, most things, whenever they were passed, had full support. So we are going to talk about the first case is the MNCG-19422, and I'm going to turn to that in my little booklet. And that is right here on this paper, and just so you can kind of see what it looks like. And it talks about the botanical gardens. So the botanical gardens in Fort Worth have always been free, and they have just received government funding, and that's how it's always been. However, the government funding is no longer producing enough income or like giving them enough money to like sustain a well garden. And so what was happening is that the botanical garden said we need to start charging an admissions fee. And it really isn't that extravagant. I don't remember the exact numbers. I think it's $12 for an adult, $6 for a kid, and like senior citizen, a student. Like a lot of there's a lot of loopholes to getting around it. You can go to the library and actually check out a pass to the botanical gardens for a day. And if you were unaware, like it's free to be a part of your public library. So this would be a free thing if you just went through these process. So, but they do need the extra income of charging an admissions fee. I, sitting there, was like, okay, as the meeting has gone thus far, is just pass, easy, talked about 5 seconds. This, I was expecting the same thing. I said, that makes sense. I was wrong. So 30 people had requested to talk on this topic, 30. So I would remind you that each person gets 3 minutes to talk with 30. That's over an hour and a half of speaking about the botanical gardens. And there was, whenever people got up to talk, they talked about both sides. They talked about, yes, this is why we need an admissions fee, and no, we should not use an admissions fee for this reason. And it was really interesting because there was a lot of people who don't work at the botanical gardens, have nothing to do. They just like to go there with their family. And, even people who just went there with their family, they still argued both ways. They said, it's gorgeous, and I understand it needs to stay gorgeous, and it needs more money. There's other people who said, it's always been free. I like to go there for lunch for like 5 minutes just to relax and get some time to myself. However, the outcome of when they took their vote, it ended up getting approved. So now I do not know when it goes into play. However, there will be an admissions fee whenever you go to the botanical gardens. Okay, the next thing I'd like to talk about, which to me this was really interesting. I actually talked to some people before the meeting started, and it was the MNCG 19423 case, and that's going to be right here on my document. And so this is with the retirement and the pension that your retirement plan and all that issue. So I actually got a t-shirt. Let's see if you can see it. So it says, a promise made is a promise kept, and it has the logo of Fort Worth. So that's the Longhorn, that's their logo. So, and then the back, it says the Fort Worth Police Officers Association, Fort Worth 440 firefighters. So this is just kind of like showing that this is affecting our firefighters and our police officers. And I actually was unable to stay for this part of the city council meeting. However, I did look it up later to see what had ended up happening. So what happened is the employees' retirement fund is like getting cut unless it's going to be given to them than what was originally promised whenever I guess they took the job. And people are not happy about that. So between this and Botanical Gardens, that's what most people were in attendance for. There was everybody was wearing these shirts. It was amazing, honestly. Just to see like that everybody cares and people are there to fight and they're doing it the correct way. It's really great. However, this did not go through. However, it did not fail. It got moved to a month away, which will be talked about again on December 11th, 2018, and they will discuss everything that needs to be discussed. And honestly, I hope they get their full pension, but we'll see. The last thing I want to talk about for approved and disapproved items was the ZC-18-141 CD6. So I'm going to turn to that in my little page. So this is a whole issue, which I know we don't have it. It's a little bit further out, but the Chisholm Trail Parkway is a toll road, or it's a parkway, and It's gorgeous, really doesn't have a ton on it. Like, it's just beautiful scenery. However, somebody is trying to build not a retirement home, but a senior living establishment. And so this is everything that they're trying to do. And so, I'm sorry. So there's this, and so what was happening is they had actually talked about this at a prior meeting, at a city council meeting, and they said was you need to make some changes to the outside appearance, to things that will not ruin when people are going down the parkway. They don't want that scenery ruined. They worked really hard on like what you see. So they said you need to change certain aspects of it. So they ended up approving this in the city council meeting, and so now there will be senior living. It's really sounds really gorgeous. All the parking is like away from the road, so you won't see it. They have like not brick, like a really pretty stone that they had promised to put around the building. I'm trying to think what else. There's going to be tennis courts. It's just going to be really good. The signs won't be visible from the Chisholm Trail Parkway. They will only be visible from the other side of the road. So I'm very excited that got passed, and it sounds really, really pretty, and that the upkeep, although it is going to cost the company a little bit more to build, I think it will be very beneficial to the city of Fort Worth. So to kind of wrap this all up, I'm going to talk about kind of why, if I liked it, and I did. I did really enjoy it, and it was a little drive to go out there to Fort Worth. However, I'm happy I went to Fort Worth because it is such a big city. I kind of underestimated how big Fort Worth was, and so when I got there, it felt very official. I did also go to a Denton County work session for a city council work session, and it was a lot smaller. It was kind of cool. I sat next to the police department person, but it was just very small and less, I don't know, just a little bit less official, but not in an official way, but just smaller scale. So it was really interesting to go to a really big city that is so close to us and affects us so much, and being able to see how this court system works, how much people care, what people are willing to do, and how they are fighting and for their points, their arguments, they're participating in our political system. That's really great, and it makes me really happy. I'm really, again, surprised that like 30 people talked about the botanical gardens. I would never think that anyone thought that much about them, but it really just shows that everything that our city puts on for us, that people really do care. They take advantage of it. They want to go see it. They love the free parks, which is amazing. And yes, people were represented very well by all of the districts. I felt that everybody worked really, really well together, and I really liked it. I know I just said that, but I'm going to reiterate it. I enjoyed going to it. I would probably go to it again, especially if I had an issue. Like, if I had something that, like, I knew what was happening, and, like, I knew I'd either agreed with it or disagreed with it, because they need both sides. They need to hear from the public. They need the public opinion. Yeah, I would recommend, though, to anybody who wants to get involved, these are posted prior to the city council meeting. So you can get this, and you can flip through it and everything like that online. And it will tell you, again, exactly what is going to be talked about. And at that point, I would decide personally, okay, I need to go to this meeting because they are talking about the botanical gardens, and that is important to me. I want to be able to go. I want, this, that. And so I think it is important for people to get involved in politics further than voting. Voting is great. I love it. However, you know what? As Americans, we can take it one step further and go to city council meetings, do other stuff, get active. So I really enjoyed this assignment, and I'm very happy that I was given the opportunity / kind of forced to go to a city council meeting, but I'm very happy with the outcome. Thank you. Bye.